Before we begin, please imagine the bell notification is on and you're subscribed to Huna Stories. The table was too long for the word simple. 15 chairs, white linen, a private dining room with its own server and wine list printed separately from the main menu, crystal glasses already breathing expensive air. He had said it casually in the car. "Don't worry, it's just dinner. They're excited to meet you properly." I should have asked what properly meant. Instead, I stepped into a room that felt less like a family gathering and more like an evaluation. They were warm, effusively warm, compliments about my career, my apartment, my generosity, a word his aunt used twice before appetizers arrived. That word lingered. In the year we'd been together, I had paid for things without discussion. A birthday dinner when his card declined and he laughed it off. A weekend trip I booked because he was between bonuses. Groceries when we hosted his cousins. It never felt like sacrifice. I make good money. I liked contributing. I didn't realize I had quietly become infrastructure. The courses kept arriving. Lobster, imported wagyu, wine bottles suggested, not ordered, as if price were abstract. No one mentioned splitting anything. At some point, I stopped tasting the food. The bill came folded in black leather. $7,000. The number sat on the table like a living thing. No one reached for it. There is a specific silence that forms when people are pretending not to wait. It is polite. It is practiced. My fiancé smiled at his uncle, at his cousin, at anyone but me. Then his mother turned, her voice bright and almost tender. "Sweetheart, will you be paying in cash or by card?" It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't whispered. It was public. Every head angled slightly toward me, and in that moment, something settled into clarity. This wasn't about tonight. It was about precedent, about the unspoken agreement that because I could, I would, that my previous generosity had hardened into expectation. If I paid, I wouldn't be treated as kind. I would be treated as reliable. There's a difference. I smiled, not tightly, not sarcastically, just calmly. I opened my bag. I could feel my fiancé's relief beginning to rise beside me, the kind that assumes inevitability. Instead of my wallet, I took out my phone. "I'll need the bill itemized and split evenly between all adults," I said to the server, my tone steady. "Thank you." You could hear the shift. It wasn't explosive, it was structural. My fiancé's cousin blinked first. "Oh," I thought. His mother's smile flickered, but held. "Oh, sweetheart, we just assumed—" "I understand," I said gently. "Separate checks, please." The server hesitated, looking between faces. That was when the first real discomfort entered the room. My fiancé leaned closer. "You don't have to make this complicated." "I'm not," I replied quietly. Voices rose in mild confusion. Not anger, not yet, just scrambling recalibration. A few uncles insisted it wasn't necessary. One uncle laughed awkwardly and patted his pockets, as if discovering for the first time that he might need to participate. The server stepped out. Within minutes, the restaurant manager entered. Calm, neutral, professional. "I understand you've requested separate billing," he said. "We're happy to accommodate." That sentence ended the debate. There is something about institutional authority that removes social pressure. It makes preference procedural. He wasn't defending me. He wasn't choosing sides. He was applying policy. And suddenly, this wasn't about generosity or family warmth. It was logistics. Cards began appearing reluctantly, quietly. The total didn't change, only its distribution. Conversation resumed in fragments, thinner, less buoyant. My fiancé barely spoke for the rest of the meal. Outside, in the cool night air, he finally did. "You embarrassed my mother. I asked for separate checks. You could have just handled it." Handled it? As if absorbing $7,000 without discussion were maturity? As if partnership meant silent compliance? I looked at him carefully. "I don't mind paying when we agreed to it," I said. "I mind being assigned the role." He ran a hand through his hair. "It was just dinner." No, it was architecture. It was the blueprint of our future. I wasn't angry. That surprised even me. I felt clarified. "They didn't ask if I was comfortable," I continued. "They asked how I'd be paying." He didn't answer. We stood there, in the parking lot, the restaurant lights behind us, his family still inside, settling their shares. This wasn't a triumphant moment. There was no swelling music, no dramatic exit, just a quiet recalibration. If I had paid, nothing would have changed. By not paying, everything had. Not wildly, not violently, but undeniably. On the drive home, he stared out the window. I watched the road. I understood something new about his comfort with my generosity when it required no negotiation, and I understood something about myself. Kindness offered freely is powerful. Kindness assumed becomes currency. I had simply changed the exchange rate. There was no celebration that night, no apology either, just space, newly defined. Whether the relationship could exist inside that boundary remained uncertain, but for the first time, I felt like I was sitting at the table as a person, not a resource, and that felt expensive.